This video is going to be a substitute for the Clubman bars. Sometimes it's kind of nice just to work with what you've got, you know, and then if you are a short rider or you don't want to sit, you know, quite so low in front, then you may want to just try this for a while if nothing else, because it's real simple. So I'm going to show you how to rotate this bar down, and we'll get rid of the weights on the ends, and then we'll put some cool bar end mirrors on. There's a couple of different styles, so let me show you how to do this. First of all, you grab a towel for your tank. Whenever you're working on the handlebar, anything up front, put a towel on your tank. Now we want to loosen our levers. There's a small screw here and two screws here, and that'll allow your levers to rotate. So just loosen those, and then what we want to do, we want to loosen these screws on the caps here so we can rotate this handlebar down. Okay, we want to rotate the bar down. I'm going to loosen the screw. You'll see it go down. Now we don't want to go down so far that these switch housings hit the tank, and I don't think you'll be able to rotate it that far anyway because the cables and everything will be too tight. So why don't you go ahead and just sit on the bike and rotate this bar about down to where you like it, and then just snug these up a little bit. Make sure that the knurls on the handlebars are centered. You don't want the handlebar off center. And then make sure that, like I say, the switch housings don't hit the tank. The further down, the better it'll look, but you don't want to go so far that it'll make the cables bind. Okay, once you get the bar where you want it, go ahead and tighten these evenly. Now, I like to have a little gap front and back under these spacers. I like to have an equal gap. That way it doesn't take as much pressure to lock the bar. And that way you don't have to get carried away with tightening these up. You want to snug them up good. But if you have gap front and back, it won't take as much pressure. And there again, make sure that it's centered. The knurls are centered on the risers. Okay, as I tighten these up, I want to make sure the levers are down as far as they'll go, but they won't bind on anything. Make sure they don't bind as you snug this up. So snug this up both sides. Make sure that the brake lever doesn't bind. And then on this side, it's really important that you make sure you, as you tighten this up, pull this lever in all the way. It'll move this lever housing a little bit that way, but you want this clutch to go in all the way and not hit this housing right here. So pull that in all the way and then snug this up. That way you got maximum travel there. Okay, then after you get everything set, again, make sure you don't hit your tank. Both sides. And make sure you have equal play. Little play there, a little play there. Make sure everything works freely. Now we can go ahead and put our bar end mirrors on. We're going to have to get rid of the counterweights on the end of these bars to put our bar end mirrors in place. So what you do on this, you just unscrew this, a couple of 3-4 turns until that's loose and floppy. And then you pull on it. If it won't come out, then go ahead and you can pry this with a screwdriver here a little bit. Kind of get it started. And then once you get that started, you can go ahead and pull that out of there. And that's what it looks like. Do that on both sides, and then we can put our bar end mirrors in place. There are two styles of bar end mirrors that we like to use on these bikes. Okay, so there's this style here that actually sticks up a little higher, probably a little more visibility than the other style. And then the one we like the best has the rubber plug in here. So what you do, you just take this mirror and you plug it in the hole. And then you tighten this screw. I push in toward the back as you tighten that. Okay, keep tightening this as you ride, and then as you install these, tighten it, adjust it, let it sit for a minute, and then retighten it. If you tighten it 3 or 4 times, what happens is that rubber plug inside just swells up, and eventually you'll get it to where it's pretty tight on there. And then one thing, I have this triangle here. I've made it so that the high part of the mirror is up. That way I've got more clearance for my hands in here. So the tall part of the mirror up, and then you can adjust these as you ride. Another thing, really important, make sure your brake lever doesn't hit, and especially your clutch lever on the other side. Make sure your clutch pulls in all the way and doesn't hit the mirror. Okay, that's that style of mirror right there. I'll show you the other style. This is the other style mirror that I like too. We have this on the Clubman bar, and these are kind of cool because they actually stick out a little bit further. Okay, I'll do a pan round real quick here. If you'll notice, I have this part pretty much going straight up. And then the mirrors here, put Loctite and everything on all these screws because you don't want that little acorn nut to come off. So Loctite that, snug that up really good. Then you'll have to tighten this screw right here in order to get that to squeeze together. So this is pretty tight. And here again, you run that in there and tighten this up, and it'll flare that aluminum spacer inside the bar to hold it tight. Make sure your clutch lever clears. And there you have it. Gosh, these mirrors just kind of make the bike. They don't stick up like big deer antlers, so they look really nice.